A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media, bringing you the next part of the Death and Return of Superman Omnibus. This is part 4, and we are looking at the beginning of the Reign of the Supermen storyline. Now, I have absolutely loved reading this storyline again. This is about my third time reading through this. It's just been an absolute delight to share all that with you. I've had some very positive comments. It's just a great old 90s DC comic story. So let's just jump straight into the next episode of... So this is the beginning of the Reign of the Superman storyline. I'm going to cover the first 4 issues today because each of the issues kind of deals with one of the 4 new Supermen that we were introduced to in the last issue. The last issue actually. So you can kind of see Cyborg Superman there. So the first issue, Born Again, starts with some scientists in Antarctica, and they see some weird weather phenomena across the horizon. They don't really know what it is, but they're like, we'll just kind of get to safety. It is actually coming from Superman's Fortress of Solitude, where some Kryptonian robots have managed to harness energy, which takes the form of a person. The person kind of remembers a battle, doesn't really know who they are at this point, but discovers that they are intangible, so they cannot touch anything. The Kryptonian robots present this energy figure with memories of the battle against Doomsday, the death and the funeral, and the energy figure, in the blink of an eye, manages to go from Antarctica to Superman's tomb in Metropolis, where he frightens a bag lady. He enters the tomb itself and opens the casket and finds the body there that is still kind of humming with residual solar energy. The entity takes that energy and becomes Superman, takes the cape, and then kind of vanishes, leaving the tomb empty. We then go to Bibo's house. Bibo has, if you remember in the last issue, purchased all of that Superman memorabilia, and he's just kind of talking to himself about how Superman could have made a fortune on all of this marketing stuff, but didn't, or even if he had, he would have given it all to charity or some such. So he decides that he is going to dress up like this and go around doing good. What that good actually is, we don't know at this point, but I hope to Christ it's not fighting crime. We then go back to the Fortress of Solitude, where this Superman, now known as the Eradicator, is kind of practicing with the energy that he has. He has to wear these glasses because the light is very blinding, and he laments that once he was able to look into the sun directly, and now any bright light sort of hurts his eyes. We then are shown some different newscasts of all the trouble that's going on in Metropolis, and the Eradicator basically tells the robots, start repairing the Fortress of Solitude. He puts his cape on, and then he flies away. What's noticeable about this incarnation of Superman is that the suit has a lot of black on it. He finds some people, or a guy, I should say, who's tormenting a woman. He flies down there and stops the crime. The woman is then interviewed by reporters, and the reporter says, aren't you worried that he used excessive force? She's like, I don't care. We get other news reports of this same figure using force that is unnecessarily brutal. We actually saw that when he was introduced in the last issue. At this point, Lex Luthor is having major conniptions because Superman's body is gone, and he tells his right-hand man, "What the fuck, dude? You've got to be on this." At this point, Supergirl bursts into the room. Lex Luthor had told his security not to let her anywhere near him because she still thinks he's good, and he's kind of holding up this double persona. They apologize. She says to Lex Luthor, "Hey, I think Superman's back from the dead. I'm going to go investigate." Lex Luthor is like, you do what you got to do. Whatever. Then we are on the streets of Metropolis. A plane is crashing, only to be stopped by the Eradicator. Lois Lane sees this and rushes over to talk to him. She wants to know who he is. He flies away with her, typical Superman style. They have a talk where he admits, she's like, "Tell me something that only Superman would know." And he's like, "You're in love with Clark Kent, but I'm Superman. Clark Kent is no longer. I'm sorry, but the Clark Kent persona is gone." And now Lois Lane is even more confused than usual. Okay, 1 second. I need some yum yum juice before I continue. Oh, that's good yum yum. Now we move on to the introduction of Steel. It begins with John Henry Irons telling some boys at a rec center where they were playing basketball about the mythical figure of John Henry, who performed a deed where someone invented a new drill that was going to replace people who hammered spikes in to make holes or something like that, and how John Henry took it upon himself to challenge this machine, and he ended up winning. Kind of a moral on human perseverance and what humans can do. As the boys are leaving the rec center, someone leans out of the window of a car and just blows this experimental weapon, shoots it directly through one of the kids, who, of course, is brutally killed. John Henry sees this. John Henry Irons sees this and chases after the car, manages to catch it, rips the weapon out of the gang member's hands, and it falls to the ground. But he realizes that it is a weapon that he, in fact, had designed. He is an engineer and he was a weaponsmith. And now his experimental weapons are in the hands of gang members. This was a hit. One gang was attacking another gang, and the boy got in the crossfire. So John's in hospital. His family come to see him. And the little boy is talking about Superman, and John says, "Superman saved me once. He was working construction when one of his friends fell from a girder. He swung out to catch him. He manages to save his friend, but then the hook snaps and he's plummeting to the ground, and Superman manages to catch him. And it was at that point that he decided that he was going to live up to the ideals of Superman and what Superman stood for. So he's walking home a little later, contemplating things. He sees his neighbor, pardon me, who is kind of like a fortune teller, kind of a little bit of comedy there. And he goes down to his basement workshop and he starts forging a suit of armor. At this point, the gang members who know who he is decide that he needs to be killed because he disrespected them and he got the weapon. So they throw a Molotov cocktail into his basement kind of workshop, and it sets the building on fire. At this point, he is in his armor as Steel. Looks pretty cool, in my opinion. He manages to save his neighbor, but there are still people trapped in the building. At this point, Lois meets an old friend, Jeb. Not quite sure who this character is, but he is really, really, really fucking creepy here. And I know it's, she's lost Clark. He knew that Clark and her were engaged. He doesn't know that Clark is Superman, as far as I can tell. But he's still overly flirty to the point of cringe, when I know he's just trying to be nice to her, but it just read really badly. So they decide to go and get some dinner. At this point, Lex is watching TV, and the fortune teller basically believes that Steel is Superman. His spirit is inside of whoever is donning the armor, because she believes in spirits and reincarnation. And so he just wants to find out who the hell this is. So Steel is he's tracking basically the car that did the drive-by, and he tracks them down because he wants to find out where the weapons came from. So he tracks down the dealers. He busts in, and they use the experimental weapon on him. He dodges the first one, but the second one of the gang members grabs him and says, "I've got him," and the guy shoots through the gang member and directly into Steel, but it doesn't really do anything. He is now really pissed off because every death with these weapons, he believes it's his fault. So he comes out with his weapons. He pins the gang member to the wall, and we see the White Rabbit. We saw her earlier, and she doesn't want this gang member to tell Steel anything, so she ends up shooting him in the head, which is pretty brutal. Lois and Jeb are at the Daily Planet. She's looking at photographs of the different Supermen, and at this point, Jonathan Kent wakes up and sees this new Steel, and Lex Luthor finds out about the White Rabbit and about the weapons. And because basically what she's doing is on his turf, he's like, "We'll let Steel sort it out, and then we will come in and finish it off." Okay, the next issue is focused on Cyborg Superman. Lois, Clark in cross-dress. Lois is pondering Superman, kind of reminiscing a bit. She goes to see this gentleman who basically tells her that, "I think this one is the real Superman. I did some research on him. He broke into the lab, and here is his photograph. So I'm pretty sure that he is the real one." At this point, Cyborg Superman is basically looking for the mayor. He's gone to Star Labs, which was what he came here for. The mayor is at Star Labs, and Cyborg Superman demands to know where the body of Doomsday is. The mayor tells him that Doomsday is at Cadmus Labs. Jimmy Olsen, Lois calls Jimmy Olsen, and Jimmy Olsen's like, "Cyborg Superman just accosted the mayor, and I think I know where he's going." At Cadmus Labs, they discover that someone is flying at super speed towards them, so they send out the Enforcer guys. He just blows all the way through them. Guardian is there, of course, because Guardian works for Cadmus Labs. They see on the infrared signature that the figure looks like a cyborg version of Superman. The figure kind of busts in. All the firepower does nothing. And when he busts in, He demands Doomsday. Guardian can't believe that Superman is back. He talks about how he was there when Superman was buried. Cyborg Superman explains that because of the extensive damage, that's why he's got these cyborg parts now. The guy is saying this must be a fake Superman. Don't let him know where Doomsday is. But Cyborg Superman heads down to the vault. The head of Cadmus Labs is like, good luck with that. You can't get through. But we find out that Cyborg Superman's body can now control computers, which I thought was pretty cool. So he opens the door to the lab and he sees Doomsday all kind of chained up there. He breaks him out and takes his body with the chains. At this point, Lois, on the way to Cadmus Labs, sees him fly off with Doomsday. He flies up into the atmosphere, finds an asteroid, ties Doomsday to it, basically says, I'm going to send him somewhere on a trajectory where he's not going to hit anyone or anything, and he will be gone for good. So he throws Doomsday tied to this asteroid, kind of crucified a little, out into space. He comes back down to meet Lois. Lois doesn't believe he is who he is. She says, prove it, tell me something only Superman would know. He tells her so much of his memory is gone. But I want to know, I want to remember. So she takes him back to the doctor. The doctor tests his DNA and also confirms that the cyborg material is actually Kryptonian in origin, and the DNA is effectively Superman's DNA. So for all intents and purposes, Cyborg Superman is Superman. They're trying to work out how that can be. The doctor is convinced, like, this is Superman. Out in space, where no one can hear you scream. I wonder where they got that from. We find out that Doomsday is awake and he is laughing. So Doomsday is alive. Doomsday is not dead. And that ominous laughter, which no one would be able to hear because it's in space. Now the fourth and final issue for this episode, Truth and Justice My Way. Oh, and it looks like he's smoking a cigarette, but he's actually not. This focuses on Superboy. So there's this group of guys in a car. They've stolen this car. They've shot Superman's memorial, and they see this jogger, and they're like, let's have some fun and run her down because they're psychopaths. And Superboy stops the stolen taxi and saves the girl by grabbing her ass. Okay. Puts her down, gets the guys out, kind of beats them up a bit, steals a sneaky kiss, and then flies away. She says, hey, he's Superman in my book, even though sometimes he's just a boy. Now, the next part of this story is incredibly fucking disturbing. So you might just want to skip ahead. You'll be able to see the pages. But this next part, it actually blew my mind when I read it. I just need some yum yum juice to explain this one. Oh, that's good yum yum. Okay, so we're going to move on to Bibo. Now, Bibo in his Superman duds is down at the docks handing out food to homeless people. And we see this old woman who is utterly distraught. She didn't realize that Bibo was going to have food. She couldn't feed her puppies, so she put them in a sack and threw them in the river. So Bibo jumps in to save them. He manages to get the bag out, and all the dogs are fucking dead, except for one, which Bibo rescues and decides to adopt and call the dog Krypton. So basically we have 2 pages of an old woman throwing a sack of puppies into a river where all of the dogs die. No idea. Okay, we're at the Daily Planet. Lois Lane comes in. Jimmy Olsen's like, listen, there's someone here to see you, and it is Superboy sitting on Lois's chair. At this point, he's pissed off when someone calls him Superboy, as you can see by him kind of beating up Jimmy Olsen a bit. He admits to them that he is actually a clone of Superman. Then he sees this woman walking past. He ignores Lois and follows her and ends up basically kidnapping her. But the whole point is he's giving her the exclusive scoop on who he is. Kind of like just trying to impress a younger, prettier woman than Lois Lane, which I thought was kind of funny. At this point, Lex Luthor, with a broken leg, goes absolutely cuckoo bananas because this is a clone of Superman, which was something that he has been trying to do for a long, long time. So everyone is, all the television executive people are sitting around talking, and basically they want Superboy they want to follow Superboy when he goes to like stop a crime so that they can have the exclusive on it. This reminds me very much of a more innocent version of the opening of Marvel's Civil War, where the New Warriors fight in Stanford and Nitro blows up the school and kills millions of people. But this is a much more toned down version of that incident. So they mic him up and he goes down there, and his job is to take out the gangs with the experimental weapons. He fights through them on the hot mic, making quips and so on. I think this kind of shows that he has a bit of an aversion to fire. And he ends up getting hit by a bus, which damages his microphone. He's pissed off because his jacket gets ruined. The gang, led by this guy Steelhand, is waiting. They think he's down, but he's not. He breaks in, busts them up. And the news station is like, well done. They give him a little talk. At this point, Lois calls Martha Kent. Wants to know how was Clark when he was a teenager? Was he this wild? Was he this rambunctious? And Martha Kent is like, no, he was a good kid. And Lois realizes that if Superman hadn't been found by the Kents, this is probably what he would have acted like. Superboy lands on a roof, a la Batman style, where Guardian's there, and Superboy's like, you're not taking me back to Cadmus. Guardian's like, no, just want to tell you did a good job, but be careful, okay? There are risks and consequences. Guardian is being really cool here, and then he just vanishes. And then the studio head is celebrating with the reporter that got the scoop on Superboy. Then we have Lex Luthor talking to one of the Cadmus Labs people, and Lex Luthor is like, you fucking told me you couldn't clone him. Well, that's not entirely true. And then the story ends with the Cadmus person going to tell Lex Luthor everything about how to clone Superboy. Okay, the opening to Reign of the Supermen. You got 4 issues, each one dedicated to one of the different new Supermen. The Eradicator issue I thought was a little boring, not really an interesting character, very bland, very one-dimensional. Steel I like. I'm more familiar with the modern incarnation of Steel and the new 52 incarnation of Steel. This is back when he had his old clunky armor. This is what the Shaquille O'Neal movie was kind of based on, this version of Steel. But it's still cool to see a man who was saved by Superman taking up the ideals of Superman. I thought that was really cool. Cyborg Superman is just awesome, and you'll find out why later on. And Superboy is just an arrogant little twit, but because of that, it's quite funny to read the Superboy issues. The Bibo, old woman, and the dog scene, what the fuck? That's all I've got to say. What the fuck? And here, Lex Luthor looks a little like Dr. Zaius. Very interesting design choice there. Okay. That was part 4 of the Death and Return of Superman Omnibus. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will be bringing more out very, very soon. We still have a lot to go before I move on to the next Omnibus, which my good friend Mr. Ian Van Gammett has already chosen to be the next big comic video. Until that time, or until the next video, please everyone, like, subscribe, hit the notification button, do all the stuff. If you enjoyed the video, leave a comment. Always like hearing from fans of the channel. But most importantly, stay safe. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one.